Odd Conduit Media.
What's it gonna be?
You are now listening to the
Hey there, all you hyped out of your mind Zelda fans. Welcome to another episode of
Hyrule Podcasters!
I'm your co-host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Pat.
And normally, this is an audio-only Let's Play of the Legend of Zelda franchise. But today, we have something special for you.
Oh, Nintendo Direct, are you hyped?
Oh, how could you not be hyped? How
It's
could you
true.
not be
How
hyped?
could you not be hyped about this? Very exciting. Of course, they say the last great bit for the last 3 minutes. But
Last 3 minutes.
we'll get into all of that in a second because today we're joined by two special guests.
That's right. We have the Sacred Realms brothers here joining us all the way from Texas, coming and sharing their hot takes about what they just saw.
And so we're not going to bore you with our normal what have we been up to nonsense. Let's just get right into it. Ben, what up?
Wow. What a Nintendo Direct, especially those last 3 minutes. Lyndon, how you feeling about all that?
You know, it's so tough because when we go into a Nintendo Direct, my hype is very often at just an incredible level, and very often I'm disappointed. Right? I mean, being excited for a Nintendo Direct can often be a fool's game, and
The Fool's Game!
exactly. I'm very happy to say that this one at least gave us something this incredible to end with. And it's so tough because I think the common wisdom was that we were going to see something from the Breath of the Wild sequel at this Direct. But like,
Right.
you still just can only assign so much faith in common wisdom when we're talking about these things. But it was here.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was very excited by it. I think that if I was going to be critical, then I would just say that I wish we would have seen just a little bit more new footage. But, you know, in a world where we did get a title and a firm release date, how much is there really to complain about?
And Matt, just in case somebody decided to listen to this podcast episode without having any context about what we're talking about, what happened today?
So we had a crazy Nintendo Direct, 45-ish, 50-ish minutes this morning around 7 a.m. Pacific time, and talked about a little bit about Zelda at the very end there. But most of it was other non-Zelda related things. So we finally got some good discussion, some good Easter eggs, some good hints at what we're looking for, and a title drop on Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom. So definitely, I know that we're all going to spend the next, call it 8 months, I think, between now and the release date, absolutely dissecting every square centimeter of that trailer, trying to get as much into the mind of the developers and as we possibly can.
Well, and I think that kind of tees up the first thing to kind of wonder about. And Patrick, when you saw the title, TEARS, how did you pronounce that the first time around?
Well, as a wordsmith, I went both ways. I
Right.
understand that most people are going to say that Tears of the Kingdom, especially with the symbols that they showed, but the kingdom is clearly torn apart.
Right.
And it could very easily be a play on tearing, right? Tears of the kingdom. Which,
That's a good
might
point.
be
I
a
hadn't thought
stretch,
about that.
but I can't help but see like all angles. They're written the exact same way, but are very, very different words. And I'd be surprised if that wasn't slightly intentional.
I'm kind of wondering too, because we do have, obviously this was all shown in Japan as well, and we have official logos for the game released. We've got key art, we've got box art, we've got everything in both English and Japanese. I would be willing to say that this conversation is going to be put to bed just as soon as somebody who knows, who is fluent in Japanese goes and reads that logo and is like, guys,
Sure.
it's tears, not tears, or whatever.
Sure. I think regardless, though, the ambiguity there exists even if the Japanese doesn't have the same wordplay in the title, because why not? Why not have some fun with whatever language you're presenting the title in?
And generally they're not, like you said, right? It was is an active decision what to name the game, and so thinking that they could have chosen, there could have been other things to choose because it's not a direct translation from Japanese, character by character, right? It's trying to convey the idea. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think most people agree that it is tiers from what I've seen looking around on the internet, but definitely some tearing going on, and so I do like that it invokes that. So
I think it's so funny. If I could just say real quick, like while we're talking about the name. Because one of the big pieces of drama leading up to this whole direct was the speculation that the death of the Queen would delay the direct itself, right? Mm-hmm. And then that was kind of borne out yesterday after the direct was announced, when Nintendo UK said that they would not be live streaming it, but that it would be available to watch on demand afterward. And so I think it's so much easier to figure out why that all happened now, right? Because this name, Tears of the Kingdom, is like, oh, dang, I guess that actually is kind of uncomfortably like...
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, the kingdom, like the kingdom, is in mourning right now. And that might have been the reason that they kind of pushed it back just to, be a little sensitive to that.
Sure, yeah. I just think it's something funny to try and pick apart and analyze. Mm-hmm. It'll never be confirmed one way or the other, but...
Sure.
Well, it's just like at their last direct, they decided not to release Advanced Wars, because Russia had just invaded Ukraine, right? I mean, when you're a global company, these are actual thoughts that you have to have as you release things. So
right,
exactly.
So I thought we could go around the horn here and just grab something from the trailer that really resonated with you. And Matt, I thought we could start with you. What was one thing watching, I think it was like 1 minute and 37-ish seconds of trailer that you really kind of clung to immediately? Like, oh, like that thing, or something that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I am still very excited for returning to an aerial version of Hyrule. I know everybody on here knows my affinity for Skyward Sword, and to me, it's impossible to view the floating islands and everything going on in the aerial portion of Hyrule as anything other than some type of callback or at least Easter egg to Skyloft, Skyward Sword, and everything else that was going on there, right? So,
and that's your favorite 3D game, is that right?
It is my personal favorite, but I don't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's my personal favorite. I think that there's a lot that is going to go into this game that is going to be very not Skyward Sword. I think that I don't think that you can look at this trailer, and I know a lot of people at the very beginning were speculating like, oh, it's going to be very heavily tied into Skyloft, and like just the architecture, the tone, the carvings that we saw throughout throughout this trailer are very much not like anything that was on Skyloft or anything that was in the Sky Temple on Twilight Princess either. So they're definitely doing something different. But I think that they're going to have some type of connection there, right? Like they've already done the callback to Fee. Now we're going back to the sky. So like, I don't know, there's something there that I'm excited about.
Definitely.
Patrick, what are you excited about that you saw over there?
It's tough to just pick one thing, especially because a lot of it isn't set in stone. I mean, no pun intended, half the information that we're getting is from old stone carvings. I'm excited to dig through these old stone carvings and see what's really going on. The thing that stood out to me is this villain that we've never seen before, who I assume is a villain, in the center of these tiers. And I was digging through my Hyrule book that I got over here, and I just I can't seem to find a villain that looked like this, or any character. So I have no predictions of who that could possibly be. I'm excited. I'm hoping that they come up with somebody new, and that I have to go around and collect, 7 tiers in order to accomplish a goal, kind of like how you had to get, pendants in previous games. I'm hoping that boss at the center with the tiers around it implies that we have multiple dungeons and not just 4 divine beasts like we did in Breath of the Wild. Because the only reason that Breath of the Wild doesn't get a perfect score for me. I want bigger dungeons that you collect items in, as opposed to just a bunch of shrines. And maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I think that kind of hints that might be the gameplay layout on this one. What about you, Ben? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I was most excited about was the Ouroboros symbol that we get that is making up that background, right? So if anyone's if anyone's unfamiliar with that, it is a snake eating its own tail, or sometimes a dragon eating its own tail. You see depictions of this throughout human history. Right? This isn't just something that, we only see in video games. It was first referenced as far back as the 14th century BCE in ancient Egypt. And, what it was there is it was this symbol of how Ra and Osiris were connected, the sun god and the god of the underworld, right? Were connected, and just how interesting that is. And it's a way to kind of talk about extinction and rebirth and that constant cycle. And that's obviously over 35 years, right? What has happened continuously in the land of Hyrule, right? Is this extinction and rebirth. And it'll be really exciting to see what directionality that gives us as we look more and more into the trailer and as the game comes out to really understand what's going to happen.
Certainly.
And I think, like, building off of that, you can say that Breath of the Wild is really the rebirth of the franchise as it stands, right? And so, like, that was obviously very intentional in the design of Breath of the Wild being different than any other Zelda game. So if we can take the symbolism there to mean what we think it means, because I do agree with you, Ben. I think it's a very intentional use of a very common symbol.
Certainly.
And so I think they're leaning into that even more. So what does that look like? Like, I think Breath of the Wild was obviously wildly successful. So are we getting, hopefully they're not just being too drastically different here, but just improving upon it, right? So I that's a great point, Ben.
Some might say that it took my breath away how wildly successful it was. My bad, everybody. And I want to speak to more on that too, but let's hear Lyndon's takeaway before I cover too much ground here.
So I've got a few that really stuck out to me. One that
you only get one. Everyone else had to pick one. You get one.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, my bad. Jeez. That's going to be tough. I think the biggest one for me was trying to pick out the subtle differences to the Hyrule landscape that you can see while Link is airborne, That's been something that people have been doing a lot of in each new video that we've seen from this game. And you can actually, if you kind of freeze frame and slow down and everything, you can pick out a little bit more here than you have previously been able to. It's definitely the map, the overworld map from Breath of the Wild, at least in its base form. But there are some very interesting differences. In the first trailer, we saw Hyrule Castle kind of like raising out of the ground, like it was kind of on a floating island or whatever. And while
like it was tearing away from the landscape.
one might
did
say.
you recently have a child or something? Because you're on fire with the dad jokes today.
All the world. I'm not even going to say anything weird there. Keep it going, Lyndon.
I appreciate your restraint. So you can see while Link is falling in this trailer, you can see Hyrule Castle. It is definitely floating visibly, and there's also some crazy pink malice like flame coming out from beneath of it, which is interesting.
That calamity color.
Yes, and that was something that I don't think is too surprising given what we've seen in trailers before. The one I did think is surprising is that same malice flame pink calamity color is coming out of the caldera of Death Mountain as well.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I think is super interesting. It does make me wonder if there's some kind of underworld mechanic in this game. I don't know if it's too much to ask for that there's like a sky area, a ground area, and an underworld, but clearly something is
You're
kind
getting
of
greedy, Lyndon.
I know, right?
You're getting greedy.
It is kind of clear to me though that something is sort of coming forth from the ground in this game, and I think even aside from what we see in this trailer, that is borne out by the very first trailer we ever saw for Tears of Hyrule or Tears of the Kingdom, which showed Link and Zelda underground discovering like the desiccated corpse of Ganondorf, I think.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to piggyback on that, is that this was almost completely the opposite of the first trailer we saw, right? Like ever since that first trailer, we have seen nothing of Zelda, Ganondorf's corpse, or any of that underground section. The last two, I guess this is technically a trailer. The other one was technically like a teaser. Have been solely focused on the aerial version or the aerial segment. So it seems like, and to your point, Pat, about the cave drawing showcasing what I think is safe to assume could be the big bad, this owl-looking creature with the 7 tiers around it. Or 7, they look like Kokiri emeralds to me also.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it's like whatever that is, that's obviously not Ganondorf. So like, are we pivoting away from Ganondorf, or like, I don't know. It seems like they're kind of giving us a head fake here and keeping us guessing on what the plot might be, or even who the big bad is. Like, we don't know.
Which would be really fun.
And,
that'd be fun if they strayed from Ganon a bit.
I forgot if it was Ben or Pat in their observations, but I think that number of artifacts that you see above that creature in the carvings is significant. 7 is a recurring number in the Zelda series, and very often it is the number of dungeons that have to be beaten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I hope so much. I want dungeons back. I'm not going to be too upset because I'm sure they're making a great game, but I would just be so happy to have dungeons. Coming back to the Ouroboros, it's kind of like a time repeats symbol, and it seems like almost we're seeing two different links in the stone carvings. Is that Zelda that's floating there, incapacitated? Is that the Zelda we're going to see in this game? Or is that a Zelda that we've already seen that was incapacitated? Like the time shifts here. I'm just not certain of which timeline I'm watching at any given moment. At the very end, when Link lands on that really cool looking stone Sheikah-esque bird, right?
Yeah, the glider looking thing.
Yeah, that looks like the Link from Breath of the Wild.
As does the one at the beginning of the trailer, who's running towards the archway in the sky. And that version of Link as well, I have that frame paused right now, and there's a few things that I want to note about Link in this trailer. Because one thing we don't see in this trailer is, I guess, what people were referring to as the other Link that we've seen in other trailers. We don't know if it actually is another Link or not. But in past trailers, we saw a character falling through the sky who was wearing very different garb from Breath of the Wild Champion's tunic, right? So this Link in this trailer, if they are different people, he is wearing our traditional Breath of the Wild getup with a few alterations. He's got a different shield. He's got a weird looking the thing you collected the Tears of Twilight in Twilight Princess on his belt, but. Even more so than that,
that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Even more so than that, this Link has got the corrupted arm that we see in the first trailer. So, definitely some kind of shenanigans of some kind, I think, happening. If not in terms of timeline, then in terms of like characters and like which ones we've been following throughout the trailers and that whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think the thing that stands out the most to me is this prop that he's got on his belt, this like container that looks like it's meant to hold energy of some kind. It just looks so similar to the Tears of Twilight.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that.
It's a blink and you miss it thing.
Definitely.
Just kind of thinking more on these kind of, details and zooming in, I'd really love to pitch it over to both Lyndon and Matt for a little bit of a lore, too long, didn't read. What are you excited about in terms of some of the lore implications that came out as a part of this trailer?
So one of the big ones for me is that, really for the longest time, people have been speculating that the Zonai would be a big part of this game. And if you are unfamiliar with who or what the Zonai are, then you could definitely be forgiven because you kind of have to have gone out of your way in Breath of the Wild to have discovered any of it. There are ruins scattered throughout the overworld of Breath of the Wild that have a noticeably different, like, artistic motif to them. They are not ruins of like the ancient kingdom of Hyrule. They are carved in the shapes of dragons and snakes. They have a lot of like triangle language, repeating triangle motifs throughout them. They're very tribal looking. And there's an NPC in Breath of the Wild who identifies those as Zonai ruins, as ruins belonging to the Zonai civilization, whatever that is. It's never expounded upon. And I know that ever since the very first trailer that dropped for this game like 3 years ago, people were kind of speculating that maybe that culture would have something to do with what's happening in this game. And I personally always felt like that was grasping at straws a little bit. That seemed like a bit of a granular thing for Nintendo to kind of focus in on. And I don't know, it just... I didn't think that there was much to it. I am completely changing my tune on that now that so now that we've seen the
flip-flopping.
Yeah, I know, right? I just can't make up my mind over here. Now that we have seen the official logo for this game, it's what'd you call it, the Ouroboros?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that is like just a straight up Zonai carving. Like it's taken directly from many of the pillars that you see in Breath of the Wild, and they created like a logo out of it. So
sick.
At this point, it's just far too intentional for me to say that there's nothing there. And it's also difficult because for a long time, people were speculating that maybe the people of Twilight were involved in this game somehow.
Yeah.
And it's confusing, and I understand why, because the Twilight Realm had a very, like... it had sort of a similar aesthetic to a lot of the shapework that you see in the Zonai ruins. And I still think that may be just a coincidence. I think that would be such a weird specific call out to a past game in the way that Nintendo just hardly ever does with these.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I definitely think that the Zonai are involved in some, like the ancient civilization of the Zonai is involved in some way. So I think that was one of my big lore takeaways. Past that, it's really tough to nail down anything too specific. What did you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think I'm going to just agree with everything you said, except for one point where I think you said that you don't know that there's going to be a direct connection to the people in the Twilight Princess realm. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that there is some real strong cases that can be made, much like the fused shadow helmet had the exact same motif as Majora's Mask. I think being an inference, if not an outright call out to connection to Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask specifically, but also just the description of the Zonai as they are in Breath of the Wild, or as they are attributed to be in Breath of the Wild, is pretty significant in its similarity to what the ancient people in the Twilight realm were supposed to be. They were a savage, warlike tribe that were strong in magic wielding and worshipped a water dragon. So, like, I think that there is some, and their motifs and the way that they construct things, even the color scheme of things that are attributed to the Zonai, that very fluorescent, almost neon green, is similar in hue to the color of the Twilight people when they're not infected by the fused shadow, right? So like when they're good Twilight people or whatever, it's a similar hue of green. I don't know that they will specifically say that the Zonai are the Twilight Realm people. I don't know that the Twily, excuse me.
Wow.
I don't know that they will go that
You're definitely getting
far.
Twily vibes.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be, at the very least, a very strong inference that could be considered more than headcanon.
And I have one last thing that I want to bring up that maybe kind of supports that, which there was something that was very familiar to Twilight Princess about all of these trailers that I hadn't been able to put my finger on until just now. But what it is the color balance of things. In the game Twilight Princess, anytime you encounter Twilight architecture or like the portals in the sky or whatever, they are typically black and magenta. And then once they have been like freed and they're no longer under an evil influence, they become like green. And I'm thinking about it now, and like the red magenta flames that consume Link's arm and corrupt it, and then his arm becomes like that bright green and has that Zonai looking pattern on it. that color balance is very they're the exact same colors. I'm looking at side-by-side screenshots of them right now. And so again, that may be a completely wild coincidence. Or it may, it's not unlike Nintendo and the Zelda development team to kind of revisit old, motifs and aesthetics. So it could just be that this is a very handy, like red is evil and this green is, kind of like blue was something you've discovered and orange was something you have yet to discover in Breath of the Wild. This could just be a new version of that, and it, again, it could have nothing to do with the Twilight. I personally think that it probably doesn't, but I think is too intentional to have not been at least inspired by that color balance of like good thing versus bad thing in Twilight Princess.
Whew, nice.
Wow. All right, everyone. So that's our takedown of the Zelda trailer. There's obviously going to be a ton coming out over the next few months as people freeze frame and dive right in. I can tell you right now, our friends over at Zelda Universe already have 5 articles up just today taking a look at the Nintendo Direct and at what's going on in all of this. So keep your eyes peeled. On the other side of the break, we will be discussing the other parts of the Direct that we liked, and we will wrap up with letting you all know what our predictions were before this and just how wrong they are.
So how very wrong they were. Let's get down to business and talk about what's really got us excited. The new season of the First Encounter podcast. First Encounter is a video game podcast where best friends Haney and Chris take turns making each other play the games that helped formulate them as youths. In season 2, Chris takes over the controller as Haney forces him to play The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the first time. Listen in as Chris tries desperately to understand what's happening in this game. They'll laugh, they'll cry, and they'll definitely make you feel something too. Check out First Encounter wherever you listen to podcasts or at www.firstencounterpodcast.com. You have to include the www, otherwise it won't work. Thank you!
I am super hyped about the new Nintendo 64 games that are coming out, and not just not just GoldenEye, but like I love GoldenEye. Obviously, GoldenEye is the one I'm most hyped for. But exactly when they were like, and one more thing, Linda and I were like, well, what could it be if they're doing it? And then boom, GoldenEye. We were just like, whoa! I'm pretty sure
Amazing.
Linda's wife like rolled her eyes so audibly that I could hear it from the other room. But no, it was
Polygon misogynist gunplay, nothing like it.
No, I'm so excited for that. But like even games, the snowboarding game, 1080.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember playing.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, I remember playing that as like a 7-year-old, and it's like I don't know why I remember, but even the musical cue that they played in there, I was like, oh man, that brings back that hits a nostalgia nodule at the very back of my brain.
And I'll hop in because GoldenEye is a game that I picked up on the 64 during quarantine. The place I was staying had a 64 in the attic. I pulled it down. I beat Mario 64, and then I started playing GoldenEye. That game is so hard. And I wasn't even playing on 007. I was playing on, I forget what the middle, Secret Agent. I was playing on the middle tier. And I got about like 2/3 of the way through the game and had to put it down because it's so difficult. So if y'all out there have not played GoldenEye yet, just start on the easiest setting because you're going to get frustrated.
It is a hard game.
It's a tough game. Don't be afraid to use a guide because you can get lost out there in the snow.
One thing that I think
also the cheat codes are great. Double Moonrakers or double Golden Guns. Very good.
No kidding. One thing that I thought was interesting about the GoldenEye reveal is that it is coming with online multiplayer on the Nintendo Switch.
I know.
So I'm going to be strafing all over you guys. Watch out. I'm coming around the corner. Facing forward.
That sounds like the kind of thing that I'll be excited to try, and then I'll get in and do it. And the Switch's online infrastructure is going to be so terrible that I'm like, I can't do this.
Maybe they'll improve it a little. Maybe they'll give us a little improvement, you know?
All right.
Sure, why not?
All right, Patrick, what about you? What was one thing that you were really excited to pull out of here?
So beyond the N64 games that I'm also super excited about, I think that this game, It Takes Two, looks pretty fun.
It's very fun.
My partner isn't a great gamer, but she really enjoys playing games with me. We've played Unraveled 2, we play some Mario Party together. And beyond that, a couple things here and there. But I think that's genuinely the game.
My almost wife and I, soon to be wife, that's a better way to put it. We played It Takes Two, and it was great.
Oh yeah,
and she's not much of a gamer. A little Mario Party here and there, but yeah, really liked it. Really had fun.
Good. Okay, then I'm psyched on it. I'll look forward to it.
All right.
What about you, Lyndon?
Yeah, so the N64 games were definitely a big part of it. Matt and I are old school Mario Party 2 fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mario Party Superstars because it's a really great modernization. But I mean, assuming that I can actually get a hold of N64 controllers to to play this with, then I think Mario Party 2 is still the best Mario Party that's ever been made. And so it coming to the Switch and you being able to dock the Switch to your modern TV and not have any of the muddy fuzzy lines that come when you try to do an HDMI some unholy HDMI to N64 adapter, right? That never looks good. So I'm glad that we finally are going to have a really great way to just play Mario Party 2 in its totality on the Switch. The biggest one for me though was that I'm a collector of Zelda likes. Obviously, Zelda is my series.
Comes.
Yeah, Zelda is my series. I love Zelda very much. But my Switch is also a repository of several games that are very Zelda in their inspiration, but have done it in new and interesting ways. And those typically tend to be indies, of course, because that's the space where most of that work happens. Hyper Light Drifter being one of the big ones. But one of those games that I've really, really wanted to play for a long time and have not yet had time to do, mostly because it's not on Switch and I can't play it in bed, is Tunic.
Yep. Very excited.
I am so excited for Tunic to come to the Switch. Ever since I saw that game, it was one of those where you see the trailer and my first thought was, this looks like a Switch game to me. This is a game I feel like I would like playing on my Switch. And now I will be able to. And the best part is I'm not even going to have to wait that long because it's dropping on September 27th. So,
I know, amazing.
Yeah, it's coming out super, super soon. That game got really excellent reviews. And actually, weirdly, I've been wanting to talk about this game a little bit in our current season of Sacred Realms because it's been sort of applicable to one of the recurring topics that has come up in regards to the original Legend of Zelda, which is the necessity of referring to a pack-in manual, right?
Yes.
Tunic is one of the things that they did with that game is made a lot of it very difficult to decipher. There's not a whole lot of in-game hints. There's not a whole lot of in-game signposting towards things, but there is a manual that you can download and reference that is provided by the makers of the game. And I think their experience is intentionally supposed to mirror how you would use a manual with a game like The Legend of Zelda back in the day.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I'm going to sneak in that I'm also excited about the SpongeBob game. I think that looks like a dope platformer. I'm definitely going to play that.
Interesting. So I think
Ben's gonna skate right past that one.
Let's have it. Yeah,
I'm just letting it go. All right, I think the thing that I'm most excited for that we haven't already talked about would be Fire Emblem. So I bought and played through Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think that was a COVID buy and play, and I hadn't ever played one of those games. I was actually a really big real-time strategy fan from back in the day with Warcraft and StarCraft and things like that, but had never played one like this. And if you're not familiar with Fire Emblem, it's you're moving people around a board, and then they engage in kind of standard RPG battles. And I really loved it. I probably put 50 or 60 hours into Three Houses.
Wow.
And I'm really excited to kind of see what this new version of Fire Emblem might give us.
Sick.
All right, so everyone needs to pull out your predictions. We all shared these with each other beforehand, so we're keeping each other honest. I went so far as to put all mine and Patrick's up on Twitter, so that way everybody knew what we were saying.
Oh, yeah?
And
Nice.
So we're just going to kind of go around the horn, go through your 5 predictions, and let's see how you did. So I can start here. So my first one was that Breath of the Wild 2 is named and has the word ruin in it. So I get a half point, the easy point for that it was named. It obviously did not have the word ruin in it. My second one was that the last tease of the Direct is a camera wraparound of Samus Aran in Prime 4. We obviously got no notice about Prime 4.
Oh, sad.
Number 3 was only Wind Waker comes to Switch this holiday season. We obviously got no new releases of remakes. Number 4 was the Game Boy emulator launches later today. They've been doing a lot of later todays. I thought maybe it was going to be the Game Boy emulator since we already know about it. And the 5th one, which I'm going to argue for a half point, was there is a brief tribute to Her Majesty the Queen. I would say the fact that the Nintendo UK didn't do the Direct Live is a bit like a tribute to Her Majesty the Queen, and I'm going to petition for 1/10 of 1 point if you can give it to me.
I'll give you a full half point on that one. How
full
about
half
that?
point?
Wow, that's very kind of you guys. I would not give him anything. Let's get Lyndon's breakdown.
So yeah, I definitely think you were deserving of a half of a point on that. So, okay, here's what I had. Breath of the Wild sequel title, trailer, and full release date announced, but the release date is May or later. I got full points on this.
Wow.
Look at you go.
Yep.
Wow.
And I think to me, you know, like I said, I think common wisdom was that we would get most of this in here, and so I was trying to make this one. Thank you.
Benjamin.
I'll be here all week. Yeah, I think that I was trying to make this one a little bit less of a gimme just by adding the qualifier of like when specifically it could come out, because they had said spring, and spring can mean like a lot of things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so full points on that one. Number 2, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD ports confirmed, and they dropped today. This didn't happen. I knew that the "and they dropped today" was going to be like, I knew that was unlikely, but I figured it was just such a gimme that they would be announced and that they would come out at least this winter in the gap before the new game. Like, it just made so much sense. But Nintendo gonna Nintendo. What are you going to do?
Facts.
This is going to happen at some point. It's going to be right after Matt and I have played both games for our podcast.
Of course.
Oh, for sure. It will absolutely be as soon as we're in the middle of the season or done with the season.
Yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely insane. Number 3, Game Boy and Game Boy Color games come to Switch Online, but no mention of the Game Boy Advance. All of these things, all of these things were, this didn't happen. All of these things were leaked. Like, we know that this is something that's going to come whenever Nintendo feels like pushing the button on it. So, I mean, yeah, again, felt like a gimme to me, but nope, was not to happen. Number 4, Batman Arkham Trilogy comes to Switch. I still think that this will happen one day. My 2...
I saw a lot of people kind of thinking this. So
Yeah.
Because
it just makes so much sense. I mean, games of a particular era that are getting like that are due for release on Switch have been kind of filtering out. Like Portal was the last one. I keep predicting it until it does. One day I'll be right. So that didn't happen, though. And then number 5, a new side-scrolling Mario is teased. And I knew that this was going to be
It's been a while.
It has been a while. I knew that this was going to be the least likely of all my predictions. But at the same time, we have not had a new Mario game announced by Nintendo in a long time. We haven't really had anything new since Mario Odyssey. And I figured that... I know I'm sure they're working on a sequel to Mario Odyssey 2, but I just felt like there was no way we were going to get that and Breath of the Wild 2 in the same Direct. So my compromise was new side-scrolling Mario, which also did not happen. So I get 1 full point and nothing else.
But like a super point. That was like a super duper point.
Yeah, it was a
lot
super
of
point. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? Did you get any super points here?
I got no super points, but I did get 2 points. So I said GBA, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, etc. games and emulator coming to the Switch, just like apparently everybody else. Twilight Princess and Wind Waker Switch ports, got neither one. Breath of the Wild title, which was kind of a give me, but also I was like,
hey, you
just
never
gonna
know.
play it safe.
Hey,
And I specifically said a new Splatoon multiplayer reveal that I won't care about.
I love that.
And
I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so funny.
I know. The last thing, and I actually debated on this one for a while, I ended up going the same route as Lyndon with a new Mario title reveal of some kind, because I honestly 100% forgot that they had just revealed Mario and the Rabbids. Had I remembered that, my backup was a new or re-released Kirby title, which would have been 3 points for me. But
so close.
Unfortunately, I...
horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend. Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Doesn't count. So I get 2 points, which means I'm still in the lead technically. So
Sure. So my predictions were that Breath of the Wild 2 will come out in 2024, which I could still get a point for.
That is true.
Right?
I mean, I guess
right now.
I do not
right
trust
now.
release. Yeah, I do not trust release dates.
I disagree. I feel like once, with rare exceptions, once Nintendo puts a solid month, day, and year on something, especially when it's not, it's less than a year out from now. If it was more than a year out from now, then I would be skeptical of it. But I truly think that this is the date they're going to hit. I think that if there is any other delay, then it's going to be in the area of weeks and maybe a month or two. It's not going to be out of next year.
Call me Scully, because I'm a skeptic. I don't even want to believe. I'm not even letting hope exist in my heart.
Oh, Patrick.
My second one was that Twilight Princess re-release would show up and that they'd work backwards. That didn't happen. I predicted that the Game Boy Color would be on there. It didn't happen. Most of the Nintendo Direct would be stuff I don't care about. That was true. And
really? You got all the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. You got some,
definitely
some Zelda, some Tunic.
I would say out of the 40 minutes, I only cared about 15 minutes of it.
All right.
Now, I am excited for other people.
Sure.
Because it looks like there's a lot of cool games for RPG players and a lot of cool stuff out there, but just the stuff that I don't really care about.
Totally fair.
Out of the 5 farming simulators they released, I care about 0 of them. So
well, I really think that one farming simulator that had like RPG elements to it looked really cool. But again, I don't care about farming simulators or RPGs.
Sure.
And then the last one was that there would be no Metroid Prime news. So technically, you got 2. Most of the Nintendo Direct won't be stuff I care about, and no Metroid Prime news, which is me being very pessimistic, but that's still 2 points, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. Pat and I tie. Let's go.
I do want to say,
and I could also win if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't come out till 2024.
We'll come back to it if you do.
We'll come back to it. How about that?
I do want to say that I would be tied with y'all. I changed my predictions at the last moment. Instead of Batman Arkham Trilogy comes to Switch, I had GoldenEye comes to Switch.
Sick.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, Lyndon. Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yep, I should have just committed, and then at the last minute I was just like, there's no way that's not happening, and here it is. So,
hey,
anyway.
well, I'm glad that I'd rather you be pleasantly surprised than guess that and get it wrong.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So
wow, how exciting! What a moment, even though you had to wait 40 minutes to get to the Zelda stuff, there was some cool stuff in there. And I'm going to watch that little trailer like 100 times today and read too many things about it.
I know, right?
I have already watched it 3 times, so I'm due for a few more before the end of the day.
Nice. Again, everybody out there, there's already a bunch of articles on Zelda Universe that you can read about this stuff. Go catch up with it and try to get ahead of things and make assumptions before anything's actually announced. That's a fun thing to do.
And be sure to enjoy yourself listening to Matt and Lyndon play through Zelda 1 right now. They're wrapping it up, and they are coming up on Zelda 2, and we cannot wait to hear their struggles and be there with them on some episode on some future day.
Dark nuts.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, this episode is pushing out our actual episode that I recorded with y'all by a week. Okay. So, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So this is going to be 2 Hyrule podcasters, Sacred Realms in a row.
Love it.
We're spoiling people.
And what a treat for everybody out there and for us. Thanks for doing this with us. And everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. This has been another collaborative episode between the
Sacred Realms
and and the
Hyrule Podcasters.
Epic. Good chatting with you boys.
All right, y'all.
See
We'll
you
talk to y'all
soon.
later.
Take
Bye.
care.
Y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for plugging into this week's episode of
Hyrule Podcasters.
If you like what you're hearing and want to support us directly, you can head over to our Patreon for early access to episodes, exclusive Discord benefits, behind-the-scenes videos, and more.
If you'd like updates, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hyrule Podcasters and Twitter at Hyrule Podcaster. Links to everything can be found in the show notes.
And be sure to rate and review us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you happen to listen.
As always, this episode was produced by your co-host, Patrick, and we'd like to thank LT Headtrip for composing original music for the podcast, including our theme song.
And again, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Odd Conduit Media.